Goldbridge, and this is your latest Manchester United news. Lots to talk about this morning. Ruben Amorim sends a big message to Ruud van Nistelrooy about his potential future at the club. Some people coming out saying that they want him to stay. Anana says he's excellent. Apparently the players really like him. Apparently the club really like him. I just feel we're walking into similar mistakes from the past that Ineos need to avoid, and I think Amorim has dropped a big public statement that people need to read between the lines on. Also, can I just say from the start, apologies. We normally do this at 10 o'clock. If you're new and you were watching last night and said, oh, you know, why is he not doing it at 10 o'clock? Sorry, it's a bit late. Life takes over, and I just had to put the show back by an hour. My cat didn't get run over or anything like that. I don't want people to worry. I was having an eye test and I had to have a few extra things done. So it's all right. I can still see. But yeah, I don't, when I say life takes over, I think people will start thinking, oh, God, what's happening? It's nothing bad. But that's why I was late. So, you know, these things happen occasionally. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, we're going to talk about Scholesy, talking about something that he says could be the start of something. We will be talking about Rasmus, of course. A lot of people getting on his back now. I think that's the new player to go for. We'll talk about that. Also want to talk about Kone a little bit as well. And a little bit topical. We do topical here. We don't just chase the headlines. We actually dig deep because we're Manchester United fans and we love the club. Remember I said the Carabao Cup game against Spurs has been moved to a Thursday when we've got Bournemouth on the Saturday before Christmas. Well, surprise, surprise. Get Cilla Black on the show. She's dead. Because, rest in peace. But my point is, it's been moved to the Sunday. So if you're in Manchester and you've booked your tickets for a 3 o'clock game and it's the week before Christmas and you've got a lot on and you've booked a hotel, yes, as predicted, you've been screwed because it's now been put back 24 hours. Well done. Thanks to the Carabao Cup. Thanks to the money men. And well done for screwing fans over again. The amount of people that have probably got things planned on that Sunday because it's the last Sunday before Christmas, you've screwed them. Well done. People will be travelling in from all over the world as well. America, Australia, India. Well done. Well done. All so you can put a Carabao Cup game on a Thursday night. Tossers. Anyway, I'm not that. I don't really have any strong opinion on it either way. Of course I do. Right, let's get into it. So, look, lots going on this morning around Ruud van Nistelrooy. I saw in the Manchester Evening News that Manchester United players have been impressed with Ruud van Nistelrooy. A well-placed source described Van Nistelrooy's impact as excellent since he took over 11 days ago, having overseen 2 wins and a draw. We've also got Anana coming out saying this. 100% like to see him stay. Very good guy, very good coach. Since he's here, he's helping us a lot. He has so much experience and he advises us a lot. He's doing amazing since he's here. Obviously, we have him a few days as head coach. He's different, but he's doing amazing. It's fantastic what he's doing and the players are happy. But at the end of the day, it's not something we can decide. You know what I want to say? I couldn't give a shit. Bye-bye, Ruud. And I know that's really, really harsh. And I do like Ruud, but I don't think we played particularly well last night. I don't think we played particularly well against Chelsea. Are we just going to keep walking into the same mistakes? What's fantastic then? Because I don't think the football has been fantastic. I don't think we have played fantastic. I think Ruud's done a good job in getting results with a bunch of players that aren't good enough. But I couldn't give a toss what players think. I really, really couldn't. And I would direct you to this. This is a quote from Ruben Amorim on Tuesday, and it sends a very big message about what effectively some fans and the media and some players are falling into the trap of. We want Ruud to stay. We like Ruud. He gets on with us really well. We want him to stay because he gets on with us. Mate, if I'm the new boss of somewhere and you want to keep someone who's your mate, they're gone. They're gone. I couldn't give a shit if you get on with them. I couldn't give a shit if you like him. I'm in charge. I ain't leaving somebody that can undermine me. And this is the most interesting thing that Ruben had to say on Tuesday. He said, I help my players. I was a player. I went through a lot and I treat them as human beings first. And then we go to the rest. Football is the rest. So if Amorim is the guy that treats his players like human beings and then talks about football, why do we need Ruud? All I'm hearing about Ruud is, oh, the way he talks to the players. Anana's saying it. We love Ruud. He's brilliant. He gets on with us really, really well. Amorim literally does that. So why, I don't think people are thinking it through. Why do we need Ruud to stay? If it's because he's a brilliant striking coach, keep him. But we don't need him to stay because he gets on with the players and the players like him. We don't need that. That's exactly what Amorim does. He doesn't need somebody... so Amorim comes onto the training ground and, hi, how we doing, lads? How we doing, lads? And Ruud's already there, fist-pumping people. He doesn't need it. He's the boss. He will get on with the players. He will have a relationship. And when you look at Sporting, those players play for the manager. Those players love the manager. I don't see what Ruud being here, being loved by the players, does, because we need the players to love Amorim. We need the players to go to work for Amorim. So Ruud van Nistelrooy, for me, doesn't get to stay just because the players like him. And I said this the other day. He doesn't get to stay because the players enjoy him. He's been the coach for the last 10 days. There can't be too many cooks. Amorim is the coach. The players must love Amorim. If Ruud is staying, he goes into the background as a striking coach. I think he'll go. I think he will go, because to me this just sounds like the players going, we like Ruud, we want Ruud to stay. And I'll also add this as well. If you're Ruben Amorim and you're Ruben Amorim's coaches and you come in and on day one you walk on the training ground and Ruud already knows them all and he's been their boss for the last 2 weeks, there's a power even if Ruud brings a big hamper and says there is no power struggle here, you're the boss, it is. You walk into an office as the new manager, and the interim manager of that office, who's been there for 2 weeks and everyone likes him, and you walk in for your first day and everyone's going, oh, hi, welcome. Ruud, do you see the match last night? Yeah, you're right. And you're straight away going to go, this is a problem for me, because he's been the manager of this team for the last 2 weeks and they like him and I'm the boss. So I think, for me, he might stay, but I think... It's harsh on Ruud. That's the person I feel sorry for. But there's a new boss in town, and the message is that's my calling from Amorim. That's what I do. I went through all this. I was a player. I treat them as human beings first, and then we get to work on the football. So I think that is what he's going to look to do. And actually, there was something else in the news today that sort of caught my eye. That I think it was an ex-player or somebody was talking about Amorim, etc. But he also had this to say as well. This was about actually how we're going to play as a team. He said, look, as I said before, the result against Man City doesn't really mean anything. It's deceiving. We are a team outside of the Big Five, and we are allowed to play like this defensively, waiting for the counter-attack. So what he's basically saying is that Sporting are expected to counter Manchester City, so it's deceiving to take that result and apply it to Manchester United. He said, when I go to Manchester United, whether it takes a while or not, we've got to face teams like Manchester City on a level, and it's a completely different story. That's the work we want to do there, which is not defending all the time and counter-attacking. We've got to face these clubs head-on, and it's going to be a completely different story. There will be rivalry. I'm defending the team to the maximum, but let's see what happens. I like that from Amorim as well. I know he said it on Tuesday and we've spoken about it, but he's double downing. He's double downing on it because at the end of the day, Sporting's result against Man City was fantastic, but Man City had over 70% possession and it was a very counter-attacking performance, which is what Man United have done in the past. But what Amorim is saying is, that's not what I'm going to Manchester United to do. It might take a while, but I'm going to Manchester United to go head-to-head with the likes of Man City. And what he means by that is, I'm not counter-attacking them. I want to build a team that we go toe-to-toe with them. So I think it's really good. Ruud for the West Ham job, says Homestyle. I think Ruud van Nistelrooy needs to be ambitious. I think he's steadied the ship at Manchester United. I'll be forever grateful for that. Obviously, he's got to beat Leicester on Sunday. But if he does that, he's done a difficult job. The football's not been great, but he's done a difficult job and he's got results. And he nearly took the Burnley job, and I think he should be looking for a proper job. And I think if he stays at Man United as one of Amorim's coaches, he'll get lost. He'll get lost, won't he? So, yeah. Let me just catch up on the super chats. Hi, Mike. Hope you're well, says Man United fan for life. I hope we're all doing I'm very busy at the moment. I don't know whether it's just that time of the year. And I'm not looking forward to the international break, although I do my charity stream, don't I? And we've got Amorim coming in on Monday. So they like that they can do what they want with Ruud, says Keel. Yeah, look, honestly, I've never trusted workers saying how much they love a boss. I've never trusted that. When I was about 22, one of my bosses said, because I'd been asked if I would act up and do it, and he said, my biggest advice to you is if you do become these people bosses, you go for drinks with them. He said I'd stop doing it. And I was like, but I like it. And he said no, because you can't be friends with them. If they like you and they call you friends, they don't actually respect you, because they see you as somebody that they can, have a laugh with and everything like that. And he says, you've got to be the boss. You've got to be their boss. You've got to sack some of these people. You've got to tell them, you've got to tell them difficult things. It's never a good look when the workers are saying what a great boss you are, because you can't be a great boss unless you're holding up trophies. And even then, you're going to upset some people. I don't want Ruud to stay, says Abhijit, as it risks repeating a familiar cycle. Dutch manager Van Ten Hag replaced by Portuguese manager Jose, then a club legend Ollie, and potentially Ruud if he stays, says Abhijit. Look, if it went wrong with Amorim after 18 months, I know the manipulative British press would start going, Ruud did well. The players loved Ruud. I've never thought of it like that, Abhijit, and I know some of you have said it before. I think Ruud's gone. I think Ineos are too clever. And I think they know the things I've just spoken about and they'll agree with it. But also, I think he's gone because we all know the British media. They are manipulative. They are shallow. They can't be trusted. And I remember when Jose Mourinho came in, a month in, it was about October of Jose Mourinho's first season, there was a story in one particular outlet saying that the dressing room had turned against Jose. He'd only been there 6 weeks. So, and that, I don't think we'll ever see the publicity and excitement of Jose. There is a lot around Amorim, but can you remember Jose when he came in? It was unbelievable. And they turned on him after 6 weeks. So I just think it's so dangerous to keep Ruud van Nistelrooy, because if it doesn't go well for Amorim, the press will do what they have to do. I won't do it. You won't do it, because we want a longer term vision. But if I'm a journalist and I've got an editor, after about 6 weeks, they'll go, all this Amorim stuff's boring now. All this hyping Amorim stuff's boring. No one's interested. We need to be controversial. Let's start getting some leaks from the dress. Look, they've just lost to Man City. Let's start saying the players don't like his style of play. It might work in Portugal, but it's not going to work in England. All that's coming down the road. So imagine what it would be like if you've got Ruud van Nistelrooy there and journalists doing that. They'll go, some players are feeling that Amorim's out of his depth. What works in Portugal won't work in the Premier League. Ruud was doing a good job. Some people wanted him to have it. You've got to remove that threat, to be honest, in my opinion. Nolly, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Speaker at that. I completely agree with Homestyle, by the way. Ruud is a good guy. His passion and love for the club is evident, but we need a fresh start. Yeah. You know what? I think I feel sorry for Rennie Heck as well. No one ever talks about Rennie Heck. But I also feel sorry for Ruud. I think they've come in to work with Ten Hag as part of a new club. There's a lot of money been spent and it's over before it started. But I think we need to move on. Wales says, I think Ruud will be gone. Amorim is not stupid to keep the players stuffy bare. These players are setting the trap for Amorim with these comments. Ruud out, says Wales. And look, you know what? I've got to be honest. Last night didn't please everybody, did it? I think there was some positivities, but last night didn't please everybody. I mean, at half-time, it was people going mad about how crap we were. So let's not, because we won yesterday, for me, having slept on it, Ahmad was good, Lindelof was good, Mazraoui was good. I want to talk about what Paul Scholes said, because I think he's absolutely correct on this one, and we call them out when they get it wrong, but I think he was right about what he said. But it wasn't good against Chelsea, in my opinion, and it wasn't good last night. So for all this, he's done an amazing job and the players love him. Well, where's the performance then? Where's if Ruud's done an amazing job, where's the bounce? Like, Ollie came in within days of Jose and we had a massive bounce for 2 months. So where is the bounce? Where is the happiness? I don't think. And when we say players are really happy with Ruud, I saw players yesterday, they don't look happy. There's a lot of players that look frustrated. We've all seen footage of the players and stuff like that, walking off the pitch, walking out the ground. Some of them look happy and some of them don't look happy. And I think they're under a lot of stress at the moment because there's a new manager coming in and they don't know what's going to happen. So let's not try and overhype the last 10 days. It's been workmanlike, and I think Ruud deserves a lot of praise for getting results. But you can tell the club's in limbo the same as the fans are. I'm the same as you. I'm like, let's beat Leicester, let's slam the door on that, and let's start the new chapter. I just want to beat Leicester on Sunday. I don't really care. I mean, it'll be great if we win 4-0, but as long as we win, I don't care, because what's going on at the moment is treading water FC, isn't it? And it's a dangerous time. And I actually have got sympathy for the players, because this is the time where there's a lot of toxicity around players, but we're only going to really judge them when the new manager comes in. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And I think even last night, it was almost a fusion between trying to pass and then trying to stand out. Even last night, there was still some selfishness there. Took my two sons to the game last night, and I was stunned by how many players are not interested in the young fans unless the cameras see it, says Charles. Yeah, but then again, as we saw last night, you go and you're a Man United player, you go over and sign some autographs and you get a load of abuse. So the club need to sort that out, don't they? Because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You don't go and sign an autograph or give a fist pump because you're worried about people there that, you know, have been abusive. But then people who are, you know, can have an autograph, they miss out, don't they? So yeah, it's problems. It is a bit of a problem. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of a twat in the chat here. You'd think they'd be at work. And then again, they're not going to get employed, are they, with attitudes like that? Stefano says, new coach, same old crap. Slow football with lots of side-to-side play. You'd think Erik ten Hag was never sacked. Stefano. Okay, right, let's move on. I want to talk about what Paul Scholes had to say. I actually agreed with this. Don't know what your thoughts are. We're going to talk about... I want to talk about Rasmus, actually, because a lot of people are saying, should he be dropped for the game against Leicester? We'll talk about that. And... a couple of other bits about Kone as well. But with Ugarte and Casemiro, Paul Scholes said, I'm very impressed with them tonight, especially Casemiro, one of his best games in recent months. That could be the start of something with Ugarte and Casemiro. It's interesting because I quite liked the comment. I agreed with Scholes. I think that, look, I gave them both a 6. You know, you're playing Pauk. I thought they were steady against Chelsea. I thought they were steady again last night. But you know what? Scholes is right. I wouldn't be giving either of those players 7s. I think that's over-egging the pudding. We weren't that good last night. But when I look at the performance of last night, and we'll obviously talk about Rasmus, Bruno, Dalot, Garnacho, Ahmad, etc. And I thought Lindelof had a good game. I thought Mazraoui had a good game. But realistically, I wouldn't go either way on Garnacho, on Casemiro or Ugarte in the Chelsea game or last night. And I think that's good. I don't think they had bad games. I think they gave some stability. They were steady. And that's what you want. And I think they do deserve a little bit of praise. I'm not saying they were brilliant. I'm not even saying they were man of the match contenders. I'm not even saying they were good. But I thought they were steady. And the reason, some people go, oh God, you can't be praising steady. But you can. Because when you look at the last 8 months, one of the big problems for Manchester United has been the midfield. Like, you go back to last season, you could park a jumbo jet in our midfield. There's so much space. We're getting overrun. We're conceding chances. Even before Ten Hag got sacked, we're not conceding as many chances this season as we were last season. The midfield is not as open. So whether you thought Ugarte was average or Casemiro was average, or whether you thought they were both man of the match, the point is we have got a steady midfield pairing there that seem to work and complement each other to a point where it's actually stable. We've stabilised an area that was really, really problematic last year. And I think Scholes is right, and obviously he played that position, so he obviously has the experience of it. But he's absolutely right. I'm not saying they were scintillating, but they were steady. I mean, there were times when Casemiro's lack of legs shone, when I think Johnny left him for dead. But there were other times where Ugarte made really good interceptions, and so did Casemiro. And I think, as with Casemiro, and we've seen this in recent weeks, he's actually quite dangerous going forward. It's amazing, because that's not what we bought him for. But actually, his crossing and his threat on getting on the end of crosses and his passing, actually, playing with Ugarte gives him a little bit more freedom to do that. So I think it was something that many people probably missed, and I thought, you know what, so many ex-players are rubbish in their opinions, but I thought Scholes was spot on. I think that they're a bit of an unsung couple at the moment, because they are providing some stability in a way that they're almost unsung, not heroes, that's too far, but I think they are doing a good job. And the reason I wanted to mention it as well was to give them a mention, because I think they deserve it, but also is that going to, one thing about the way we play at the moment, it's nothing like the way Amorim plays, but he does play a double pivot. There is no similarity. We don't play two centre-backs under Amorim. He doesn't play full-backs. He plays wide wingers. He plays two attacking midfielders in behind one striker. The only three positions that are consistent with Amorim is he plays with one striker, he plays with a goalkeeper, and he plays a double pivot in the midfield. And we are doing that at the moment. So my question is, would you go with Ugarte and Casemiro, or do you think Mainu has to come in? And if so, whose place does he take? Because Casemiro is actually doing a bit better than Ugarte at the moment, but he is more advanced than Ugarte. So would you go Ugarte Mainu, or would you stick with Ugarte Casemiro? I think that's going to be quite interesting, because that's something that Amorim's going to have to look at, isn't it? And of course, we've seen some players are coming back. Mason Mount was back yesterday. I mean, fingers crossed he stays fit, but he now becomes an option as well. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do. Greg says I'd go Ugarte and Mainu. Iso Magic, welcome to the Members Club as well. Sanil says the bounce will be determined how we do in December. You know, we have got Arsenal and Man City in December, by the way, two of our biggest games of the season. So very, very soon into Amorim's reign. Ryan Lord says, how many players are going on international break this time, as Amorim could benefit if players don't go? I don't know whether you were listening to the show last night, Ryan, but there is this misconception that Man United will spend 2 weeks training with Amorim. We don't. What happens is international starts on Monday, the international break. And even if you're not part of the international break, Manchester United and other clubs do give players a week off. They'll go and do their own fitness work, but they basically don't do training collectively. That's not how it'll work. It'll be more the Sunday or the Monday before we play Ipswich when Amorim starts proper work. But there will be some players that go on international duty. Martinez, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Bruno, Rasmus. I don't know whether Ahmad's been called up. Garnacho. Casemiro won't have been called up. But there'll be a lot of players that go. But in relation to England, I'm sure it's happened before, but there's no Man United player being called up for England. Obviously, Maguire's injured. Rashford doesn't get picked. Mainu has been injured. So there's no English players going. It's not like, I think some people think that if you're not going on international duty, you're going to be there on Monday being trained by Amorim for 2 weeks. That's not how it works. They do give them that week. So Rashford, Casemiro, Mainu, etc. They won't be intensely training the 3-4-3 next week. They will have some downtime. And the reason clubs do that, by the way, whether it's Liverpool, Man United, is because actually club and international football is intense. So the way Premier League clubs look at it is, if you don't get picked for your international team, we're not going to run you ragged in training the week. We're going to give you a week off and you will benefit from that. And that's why they do that. Shaw might go to... Robert Brown says Luke Shaw is going to the England camp. He's not been called up, but he's going to scale the fence and do some shuttle runs and put the cones out. What Luke Shaw does in his spare time is absolutely up to him, I suppose. I don't know. It's a joke. It's a joke. Of course, it's a joke. Let's talk about... look, I read the comments. I was reading the comments on the match reaction last night. Lots of people talking about Ahmad. Make sure you check out the interview Beth did with Ahmad last night, actually. Fantastic. And really good questions again, as they were in the press conference. But yeah, Ahmad, my future is at Manchester United. Check it out. Really good interview. But beyond that, a lot of people were talking about Ahmad last night. But a few people sort of saying Rasmus needs to be dropped against Leicester at the weekend, and we don't avoid conversations. It's absolutely fine. I think that I don't know. I mean, we need to beat Leicester, and my concern with dropping look, any player that doesn't have a good performance can be dropped. That mentality is absolutely correct, whether it's Manchester United, Manchester City, or Macclesfield Town. It doesn't matter. If you put in a below par performance, you can't complain if you get dropped the next game. So, of course, Rasmus could be dropped for the game on Sunday. But I would also say, well, Bruno should be dropped. He should have been dropped loads of times over the last 8 months. He won't be dropped. Delot should be dropped. He won't be dropped. So, are we going to drop Rasmus just because we've got an alternative? But Mount could play instead of Bruno. It won't happen. He could try Amaz at left back, but it won't happen. So there are other players that need to be dropped. And I think it's important to say, whilst Rasmus didn't play well and could be dropped against Leicester, he's certainly not the only one. Like, there are a lot of players that you could say could be dropped and won't be dropped. So that needs to change. This is something for Amorim. You can't be victimising players that are easy to drop and then keep playing your favourites. That's been going on for too long. Ollie did it. Obviously, Ten Hag did it. You know, we need to change that. So I don't like going, well, Rasmus needs to be dropped. He's the problem. Because Bruno was bloody awful, in my opinion. Delot wasn't great either. And a couple of other players weren't that good. But I think in relation to Leicester, it's tough because I just think Xerxes is so different. And I would play Rasmus every day of the week against Leicester because although he didn't play particularly well last night, he's way more mobile than Xerxes, and he's way more capable of occupying centre-backs in a physical nature than Xerxes. And even if he had a bad game, he still occupies those centre-backs. He's still mobile, and that could help people like Ahmad, Bruno, Garnacho or Rashford to get some space. So I wouldn't drop him for that game because I just don't think Xerxes got the movement to occupy Leicester, and we need to try and push them back a bit. So I've not done the preview yet. I would still pick him because we don't have... Look, if we had a Gyökeres or we had an actual out-and-out striker, I might do it. But I don't think Xerxes coming in for Erasmus, it's going to change the way we play. So for me, I wouldn't do it. But I would also say this, and I think this is important because this is how I'm looking at it. The criticism of players is fine, but decisions on players is irrelevant. I saw people last night when Rashford missed saying, sell him, he's rubbish, he's fell off. And I'm like, come on. There's no point in saying this player's finished. There's no point in saying they fell off. There's no point in saying they're absolutely useless, I've given up on them, because Ten Hag's not here anymore, Ruud's an interim, and we're treading water. In a couple of weeks' time, Rashford might score a hat-trick against Arsenal. Rasmus might score a hat-trick against Man City, and you're all going to look like mugs because you're going to go, oh, well, Amorim's getting the best out of him. So that's my point. Why give up on the player when we've got a manager coming in that I guarantee you now, in 6 months' time, you'll have a different opinion on 2 or 3 players that you thought weren't good enough? Because I think that's what Amorim will do. So I just don't see the point in writing anybody off at the moment because you're not giving the manager the benefit of the doubt. He's got to make the decisions. I can predict the players that need to go, but they might not. Somebody said to me at the start of the week, what if Maguire really thrives in a back three? I mean, it might happen. So I think really, as I said, the problem with United at the moment, and I do share it, is that we are treading water in the sense that we just need to get that Leicester game out of the way, and then the positivity and the hope can really begin. But we're in that halfway house at the moment where it's still just, everyone's still pretty pissed off. We're still 13th in the league, aren't we? Day off from work and a long weekend, says Rub. And Ram says, Ineos gave Erik Ten Hag a chance. They replaced him with their guy. Now eyes on the players. They'll get a chance. They don't perform. Ineos will replace them as well. Thank you very much for your super chat this morning, Ram. ISO Magic has gifted 5 memberships as well. That's a great start to the day. And he's a member himself. Thank you very much. Make sure you give ISO Magic a shout out. Just by the way, I do my midday show in the Goldbridge Arms. Everything's been pushed back a bit, so it'll be 12:30. Ankit says, afternoon, Mark. It may be some players feeling guilty that they've sacked many managers and nothing can win the fans over. Players like Rashi, Bruno, Delot and Ankit. My message to any player would be, criticism will always be harsh. It's entertainment. Social media exists. You will get fair criticism. You will get toxic criticism. But you will get criticism. And some of it will be, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is playing really well. I don't think Bruno's playing very well. I think he's capable of playing better, but it's been going on for too long. That's criticism. You'll also get, Bruno's fucking shit. He's an absolute waste of time. We never should have bought him in the first place, and I wish he'd fuck off. That's criticism. And you're always going to get different levels of criticism. But I would say, I think, in the case of Bruno, if he started playing well, in a team that was winning, with a vision, in a style that we all want to see, which I think he's capable of, all that criticism would be buried like a cat buries a shit. covered over, and positivity would reign. So, you know, I saw people last night were saying Garnacho was overpassing it last night because he's obviously seen the criticism from the Chelsea game. That's not helping him either. Like, you've got to be your own person. Like, the reason you've got to that point is because you are talented. Criticism will always be there, but don't stop being the player you are. Be the player you want to be for the manager that wants... The manager is the most important person. If the manager says, I don't want you to shoot, I don't want you to take anybody on, I want you to pass every single time, then that's what you're going to have to do. But putting out criticism, there's only one way to put that fire out, and that is to play well. And to play well, you've got to have a level head, and you've got to believe in yourself. And I just think some of our players do mental gymnastics with criticism. They think it's unjust. They think it's other people's fault. They blame shift. The pathway out of criticism is so easy. I mean, look at the media that's not football related. One day you are the best thing in the country. You know, you're amazing, and everyone's going how amazing you are. And then the press get bored and they'll start finding reasons to slag you off, and then the public get bored and they'll slag you off, and then you're a villain again, and then you fall off, and then you release a new album and everyone's like, oh, he's great again. And it's that roller coaster. And as a footballer, it's the same. You're never going to be brilliant every single game. You're not. You can have 10 world-class games. You miss a sitter, you're a knobhead. That's just the way it is. Players need to realise that most criticism can be defeated and destroyed by performance. The problem with Man United is we're consistently bad, and we're inconsistently good. And that's why I'm hoping with Amorim, this mentality can change. But there is a lack of... we're so disjointed. We are so disjointed. We were disjointed last night. We've been disjointed for years. What will set these players free is sharing the burden. I'm not criticising this, but when Man United score a goal, it's been a long time since I've seen a player score a goal and 4 or 5 players run over and genuinely hug each other like they care. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen at other clubs, but when I think back to like the days of Roy Keane and Ronaldo scoring, or Rooney scoring, or Cole scoring, or whatever, they'd score a goal and everybody would like, you could see the genuine togetherness there. And Man United are just so disjointed. It's like, you can almost see the cliques. You can almost see the people that aren't that sure about each other. And that needs to change. And if you can't change it, he needs to bring players in who can do it and remove the players that won't do it. And that is a massive problem. And, you know, only Amorim, that's what Amorim's been brought in to do. LMP says, sacking Ten Hag, the more I think, was the exact right thing to do. Can't hide behind that anymore, and Amorim will get back to next windows over players. Hope so, LMP. Reefer says, you said that a new manager should not just say that all players start from zero again, but maybe we actually should, in the Amorim case, new system, and maybe he sees new potential. Look, I know what I said. I don't want to see what happened with Ten Hag, what happened with Jose, what happened with Ollie, where they come in and they want to ingratiate themselves, and to do that, they want to give everybody a chance, and you walk in and you go, I don't care what's gone on before, this is day dot. Amorim will do that, and he's got every right to do that, and most new managers do that. What I was saying is, I wish somebody wouldn't do it, because if Ten Hag had listened to Rangnick's previous 6 months, he'd have saved himself his job. If Mourinho had looked at what went wrong with Van Gaal, he'd have saved himself his job. If Ollie had looked what happened to Mourinho, he'd have saved himself his job. But they don't. They come in and go, I don't want anything to do with that manager. I'm in charge. And that, to me as a fan, worries me. I understand why managers do it. You want to come in and you want to give everybody a chance. But the problem is, I look at the chances Ollie gave, I look at the chances Ten Hag gave, and I think if you'd listened to Rangnick and you'd listened to Mourinho, there's a couple of things you could have learnt without giving everyone a clean slate, because ultimately you gave them a clean slate and they did the same thing again. And that's what I'm talking about. Of course, Amorim has a right to give everybody the chance, and I understand why he will. But I think the big one for me was Ten Hag. Like, Rangnick really exposed the problems, said what needed to be done, and then Ten Hag came in and was like, I don't want to talk to him really. I'm going to do my own thing. And there was so much obvious stuff there. Reagan says Luke Shaw's back in training today. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. New manager's about to start. Luke Shaw gets back into training for the first time in 3 months. I can see the footage now. Look, at the end of the day, this is good for the charity bet. I said £1,000 if Luke Shaw can stay fit from this injury until Christmas. So that's great news if he can do that. But, you know, whether he can or not, I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Look, I think a lot of people have given up on Luke Shaw, haven't they? Look, we're never not going to be honest on here. It doesn't need to be abusive. I think a lot of people have given up on Luke Shaw. I have been a big fan of Luke Shaw for years. We fell out about it. I believe he's one of the best left backs in the world when he's fit. But when he's fit is the frustration. And I'll say it again. I was disgusted with what he did in the summer, getting himself fit for England and then losing. It's a sandwich, isn't it? It's 4 months out before the Euros and it's 4 months out after the Euros, and we pay his wage. It was a bad look. I wanted him to play for England. I said that, but I also said if you do this, you've got to be fit for Man United, and he wasn't. And he prioritised England over Man United, and he's hinted at that in the past publicly. So he's got a mountain to climb. But I don't have any sympathy. It's his mountain to climb. He took the risk. He knew the risk. It backfired. He's now got to get fit and play well for Manchester United. When he's fit and when he plays, you will see the quality of the player. And again, that criticism will turn into positivity. There is a way back for Luke Shaw, but I think he's got a lot on him, and he can't blame shift, and he can't put it on anybody else. The facts are he was injured for 4 months before the Euros. He went to the Euros, and he's been injured 4 months afterwards. That's not acceptable. Not acceptable. It's not bad luck. It's not acceptable. You didn't need to go to the Euros. You weren't even fit for the Euros, but you risked it to play for England, and therefore you burnt your bridges with Man United fans. He's now got to build those bridges back. That's on him. I would say I haven't given up on him if he can get back and play well, because it's like any bad player. If Anthony starts playing brilliantly, stay. But he has to work his way back. And the criticism or the scepticism is absolutely valid, isn't it? Of course it is. I don't think that Ruud will be sacked, as he is an Ineos staff signing and has been at the club for 4 months. Well, he wasn't an Ineos signing games. He was a Ten Hag suggestion. So that's been clarified. But he might stay. He might stay. Anyway, look, I don't want to go on too long because we're back at 2. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Absolutely loved it this morning. Make sure you smash a like. Get your comments in as per usual. And we're back at 2 o'clock. And we're back in the 8 o'clock shift tonight. We haven't done an 8 o'clock show since Monday. So 8 o'clock, Friday night. Love that. Looking forward to it. Malacia has been training for a few weeks here. I think Malacia... Look, there's no way Luke Shaw's playing on Sunday, by the way. I don't think he'll play against Ipswich. He's just back in training. But how long he stays fit... Look, can I just say as well, I don't want to tempt fate, but if Luke Shaw's back for Ipswich, I don't think the charity's getting their money on Christmas Eve. Do you think Luke Shaw's going to stay fit for a month? I'll probably still give it to charity anyway, to be fair, because it just feels unfair, but we'll see. Legends, thanks everyone. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way. We're getting closer and closer to 2 million, which is just unbelievable if we hit that. So make sure you subscribe. I'll speak to you all in a bit.